welcome to That Video Game Show. Today we are talking about some hidden gems for the Gamecube. An action role-playing game brought to us by Noise, Custom Robo was the fourth title in the series, but the first to see a release outside of Japan. In the game, the player is known as a commander who operates and customizes a miniature robo. There is a story, but essentially the game is just about smashing the fuck out of robots, collecting robos, battle parts and items you may want. The most exciting part of the game is the ability to fully customize your robots before each battle, including its chassis, weapon and attachments. I found going through each of the setups an absolute joy. That all bring their own pros and cons to each battle and really adds a sense of strategy when approaching enemies. Released in 2004 and bringing the fourth entry in a long-running Japanese-only series, you can understand why not many people check this out. But if you're a fan of Virtual On, hell, even Zone of the Enders, I would say there is more than enough here to keep you entertained. Gotcha Force is a game all about collecting small toys known as gotcha bugs and sending them out to battle as you take advantage of the specific powers and abilities that each bug possesses. Receiving mediocre reviews from critics at the time, the game was not considered to be a commercially successful title, but it has managed to go on to gain a cult following within the Gamecube community, mainly due to its insanely fun gameplay which is at the heart of the experience. You take the role of a GF commander who must choose which bugs make up a team, or force as it's known in the game. Each bug will cost you a certain amount of GF energy in order to be placed on the team, and once you have decided, the battle begins. Each fight takes place within an arena that you will soon be dodging and darting around as you try to use the environment to your advantage, as well as the bug specific abilities that can turn the tide of a battle in a blink of an eye. With over 200 bugs included in the game, there is a surprising amount of strategy involved as you figure out which ones work best for you and your fighting style. Originally released for the Nintendo 64 DD, Dosing the Giant is essentially a god game that sees you altering the environment's geography, taking care of natural disasters, and answering the prayers of your followers. It was not until 2002 that it hit the Gamecube and left Japan for the first time, as unfortunately the 64 DD add-on was never released in the other regions. You take control of Doshin, a yellow love giant, as you help or hinder the island's inhabitants, and in doing so you receive either love or hate, which is absorbed into Doshin as he carries out the actions. As you receive these feelings from the people, Doshin will grow in size, but only for that day. As the sun rises again, you will revert back to your normal stature as you take on another challenge. At any time it's possible to transform Doshin into his evil counterpart Jashin, the destructive red alter ego who is feared by the natives for his hateful force and nature. He has the ability to send streams of fire across the land, as well as being able to raise and lower terrain like Doshin. The game is essentially all about getting the natives to build monuments to the giants as you carry out their wishes or go against them. I've always had an affinity to god simulation games, so I had a blast with this one. You should definitely pick it up. Developed by From Software, Lost Kingdom is an action role-playing game that sees you setting out to save the land of Agwil, the home of the main character Katia. Before embarking on the adventure, Katia is granted to a runestone, which is at the center of the game's mechanics. One of the main characteristics of any RPG is its battle system, and Lost Kingdom will not disappoint. Battles are played out in real time, forcing you to keep moving in order to avoid attacks, as you plan and execute your strategy using cards which all possess many different abilities. When talking about RPGs, the idea of a multiplayer mode is not something that is usually on the table, but with Lost Kingdom you get to battle it out with a friend and their own card deck. Wario has never been able to reach the fame and height of his counterpart Mario, but that has not stopped Nintendo from releasing some truly spectacular games starring the mustache-twizzling villain. Wario World is no exception, and probably one of the finest Wario games ever made. Developed by Treasure and released in 2003, the game sees you taking on a quest to regain your treasure and castle from Black Jewel. The game is more of a platforming beat-em-up, although it does require some platform navigation similar to Super Mario 64 and Sunshine, but it mainly centers around combating enemies. Wario can grab people and spin them around, throw them, or even pile drive them into the ground in a truly epic fashion. You're also given an ability known as Hyper Suction to collect nearby coins in the environment, or ones which are dropped by defeated foes. In order to advance in the game, you need to collect the various red diamonds scattered around each level, and if you manage to collect all of the treasures throughout the levels, you get the option to unlock various minigames from the Game Boy Advance title WarioWare. It's still not a Mario beta, but Wario World will provide you with hours of fun, and yet another reason to dust off that Gamecube. Growing up, I was a huge fan of the Advance Wars series for the Game Boy Advance and wasted so much time playing each iteration that came out of that system. So naturally, when I heard that the series would be making the transition to the Gamecube, I completely lost my shit. But what we got was something different, something entirely new when compared to the GBA games. At first I was pissed, I just wanted a simple conversion of the game I'd known and loved, so unfortunately I cast the game aside and had no intention of playing it. But a few years back I decided to give it a go and was totally surprised at how much depth there is to the strategy, something I thought that would be lost due to the third person nature of the title. As the player, it's your mission to command a variety of units including infantry, armoured vehicles and aircraft as you battle it out for a supremacy. Requiring you to think on your feet, you do not have the safety of turn-based tactics and must adapt to each battle as it plays out in real time. In my mind, Advance Wars shall always be a king, but Battalion Wars is still one hell of a game that deserves a look. Now, I'm not a huge sports fan, but I have always had a soft spot for the Virtua series, may that be tennis, football, or even fighting. Developed by Amusement Vision, Virtua Striker 3 is the sort of casual football experience you would expect from the arcades. Ludicrous goals from the halfway mark, a bubbly, energetic soundtrack, and completely over-the-top celebrations. It all emotes a friendly atmosphere, a football game focused on fun that you cannot help but being sucked into. Naturally, you will not find the depth of gameplay present in the likes of FIFA here, but Virtua Striker 3 stands out as one of the more enjoyable titles for the GameCube, and a title that needs a spot in your library. Like Doshin the Giant, Cubivore began life on the Nintendo 64, but was eventually moved to the Gamecube. Nintendo were not sure that the game would do well outside of Japan, resulting in the game being picked up by Atlas. You take control of a cube-shaped beast known as a Cubivore. In order to restore balance to the wilderness, you're tasked with taking out the head of a gang, which results in you being crowned king of all Cubivores. The combat in the game is simple and easy to pick up, but strategic and usually very fast-paced as to keep you on your toes. Throughout the game, your Cubivores shall go through several mutations based on colour. There are 5 in total, and they all possess their own specific strengths and weaknesses, such as different colours for improved jumping, attack range and running abilities. This is where most of the game's strategy lies, and I had a lot of fun with the game exploiting the different colours and their effects on the action. Truly a hidden gem for the system. Go and check this one out. After Nintendo fucked everyone in the ass with Star Fox Adventures, many fans of the series were eager to get back to what made the franchise so great. A return to its space combat roots, Assault would see our team of lovable characters battling a new threat in the form of insect-like creatures known as Aporoids, who have the ability to infect other life forms, resulting in the host becoming an Aporoid themselves. The gameplay is divided up into 3 different aspects that will see you flying in the R-Wing, driving a Landmaster, and finally some actions require you to go on foot. But thankfully not to the extent seen in Star Fox Adventures that felt like some sort of perverted tribute to a Zelda game. One of the best characteristics of Assault has to be its multiplayer mode, which supports up to 4 players and really helps the game shine. At first the mode can seem pretty limited, but more weapons, items and maps are unlocked by either playing a certain amount of multiplayer games or completing specific goals within the mode. For some strange reason, there are still a few people who do not know about this game, and it's unfortunate as it really is a great experience, and more importantly it stays true to its roots. Developed by the one and only Sonic team, Puyo Pop Fever is the 5th installment in the popular puzzle franchise. The game is essentially just an update to the previous titles in the series, including several new features as well as a really cool Fever mode, which turns up the intensity of the action and puzzle solving involved in the game. Taking many cues from its predecessors, the gameplay remains tight and familiar to anyone who has played the games before, but manages to capture and build upon the established formula, all the while still proving accessible to newcomers. Buried beneath the game's pretty basic presentation is one of the finest puzzle games to ever grace the GameCube, and if you're a fan of the genre, there is enough here to keep you busy, as all of the different characters all offer different styles of play. Understandably, the story is pretty pointless, but that's not what these games are about. In Geist you get to play as a ghost and have the ability to haunt the hallways of a mysterious organisation known as Volks. Due to the nature of your character's situation, you can possess many inanimate objects, humans and animals found in the environments, and use the abilities of each to advance. This can include complete puzzles that revolve around possessing different entities, as well as the different benefits they have upon the game's combat. Geist truly is an outstanding first-person adventure. It's completely original and plays to the strengths it creates from its theme and manages to provide some truly unique moments. Thankfully, the game includes multiplayer, which can be expanded by completing the story mode with extra characters and levels for you to use. Admittedly, not the best looking game for the system, but if you can get past that, you will find an incredibly atmospheric shooter and adventure waiting to unfold. Well, that was it, guys. I want to thank you a lot for taking the time to check this video out. If you enjoyed the video, why not hit that subscribe button? It really helps out. I'll see you next time.